Amiante. This is the podcast of Christelle Nadia Fotso. Today's episode, it's about the weaponization of disability by banking giants. I'm going to focus on one player, Barclays. My challenge is to try to tell you a complex story in less than 20 minutes. It is easier to start by naming names, name dropping. Barclays, JP Morgan Chase, HSBC, Bank Freak, LGT Bank, LLB Bank, Pierre Castel, Catherine Thérèse Crochet, Fotso Victor, the Cameroonian Ambassador to Belgium. Those are the main players. We have 6 banks that I'm naming to show that my allegations are serious. Yes, we're talking about African wealth, the one of my father, Fotso Victor Fotso. We're talking about my disability, which is severe. I am his disabled heir. We're talking about Pierre Castel, one of the wealthiest Frenchmen, and who was a partner of my dad. We're talking about Catherine Thérèse Crochet, who I talked to you about last week, who managed my dad's wealth for over 30 years. She is a lawyer at the Geneva bar. Those are the players. What is the issue? Sentence. Barclays, one of the biggest banks in the world, tells me a disabled heir, when I present to them evidence of a crime, get a court order. As I told you at the beginning of season 2 of this podcast, I took my case to the United Nations and to the African Union. My dad died March 19, 2020. So it has been over 5 years. I am able now to know exactly what is going on. So I go to the banks who have his money and I knock on the door. None of the 6 banks I named denied that they have Fotso Victor's assets. None of them did. None of them said, you have no standing. Standing is a word to say you have no right to it. We don't have a relationship with you. The banks here are not saying, Christelle Nadia Fotso, yours truly, is not the heir. The Liechtenstein's banks choose to hide behind procedure to say, okay, we have the money, but prove to us that you are Christelle Nadia Fotso. Asking me to go through all type of legal hurdles to prove my identity, not my standing, not that I'm the heir, but that I am Christelle Nadia Fotso. Then we have HSBC, who uses the fact that the money is, as they say, in multiple jurisdictions to say, yeah, you have to go through this, you have to go through that, but they are at least courteous. There's JP Morgan Chase, who offers to give me a call, who are panicking and saying, we need to call you. And I'm like, no, guys, you have my dad's assets. I am the disabled heir. This, again, is not disputed. So I say to JP Morgan Chase, no, First, we have to solve that issue. Silence. Then, we have Barclays, who goes nuclear. They don't say, we don't know who your dad is. We don't know who Fotso Victor is. They don't even say, we don't know who you are. They don't say, you are not the heir. They just say, get a court order. African wealth. A fortune worth billions of dollars, of euros. Those banks are confronted with evidence that the disabled heir has been a victim of financial violence. She has seen none of the money for over 5 years. They don't deny that they have the money, that they have the assets. They don't deny my standing, the fact that I have a right to the money. What they all do, and Barclays goes the furthest in doing it, is to basically say, prove that you are Christelle Nadia Fotso. Get a court order. And you may say, if you're following this podcast, but Christelle Nadia Fotso, you are a lawyer. Get a court order. That is the cynicism of this tactic. I am disabled, physically challenged. And for the last 5 years, I have been a victim of financial violence. They have tried to starve me so that I give up my claim. That is what they do with African wealth. They problem with the Brussels Bar, problem with the Washington, D.C., the D.C. Bar Association, all type of administrative problems. Financial violence without precedent. Those banks know that. They know how much they have. They know that I filed a complaint with the United Nations and with the African Union. What does Barclays do? They say, get a court order. When they know full well that it's not just difficult for me to do so, but impossible. And they know that I am disabled. In 2025, they were choosing to weaponize disability when faced with the fact that there has been fraud in this case. This is not disputed. Again, none of the banks, sophisticated financial institutions, are denying that they have my dad's money. None of them. None of them are disputing, questioning my standing, the standing of Christelle Nadia Fotso. What all of them are saying to me, prove us who you are. Do this, by putting all type of procedural obstacle when they know that for at least 5 years, I've been victimized by the people who did everything that they could to force me to give up my rights, or at least to never be able to go to the bank, knock on their doors, send an email, and say, do you have my money? And in this case, all of them are saying, yes, we do. So who are the banks protecting? Catherine Crochet. Catherine Crochet was my dad's wealth manager for over 30 years. She is a Geneva attorney. She has a relationship with all of those banks. She is at the center of this case. Maître Catherine Crochet, Maître Crochet, has history here that is problematic. I'm going to give you two incidents which are documented. 1994, Le Monde, the French newspaper, wrote about Catherine Crochet's role in the Crédit Lyonnais scandal. 1994, Le Monde article. I'm going to put the link in the description of this podcast. In 2001, Le Temps, the Swiss newspaper, wrote about Catherine Crochet, Maître Catherine Crochet, role in a diamond fraud case in Belgium. So we have here an attorney who has that history, a dark history, and all of those banks are protecting her. She is the predator, the one who, from Geneva, organized the looting of African wealth by weaponizing Africanity, Africanness, disability with her influence. Her husband, Jean-Louis Crochet, was a prosecutor in Geneva. Next week, I will tell you more about Pierre Castel. There is this French-African, in French we call it France-Afrique, smell to all of this. Pierre Castel lives in Geneva. My dad was Pierre Castel's business partner for over 60 years. He is seeing this and his silence here is not neutral. Cameroon's ambassador in Belgium, who had a friend of his fixer, tried to call me last week. I didn't pick up the call. I will not negotiate with people who, for at least the last 5 years, have witnessed the financial violence and have done nothing. And now suddenly appear. I will not talk to them for at least the last 5 years. Cameroon, they were a part of the financial violence. They participated in it, they legitimized it, and they intensified it. So, Miante, that is the story. If you are skeptical, remember the names of the bank. Sophisticated financial institutions. If this was a nothing burger, all those banks have to do is to say, we don't know who your dad is, we don't know you, given the complexity of this case. They could say, you are an heir among 100. We don't recognize your standing. Resolve your African issues. We can't talk to you. This is not what international, sophisticated banking institutions are doing. They are hiding behind disability, behind procedures, and they are weaponizing my disability. Barclays did it the worst, went nuclear, get a court order. There is so much smoke, Miente, so much smoke here that disability advocates should be standing with me, asking questions. The financial authorities should be investigating this story. What is the Geneva Bar Association doing? What is the international media doing? And I have been clear. I said Barclays is guilty of ableism, that they are weaponizing my disability. Why aren't they responding, denying the story, threatening to sue me? Their silence tells you everything that you should know about this story. I have named names, 3 people. Pierre Castel, one of the wealthiest men in the world. Catherine Thérèse Crochet, who can sue me anytime she wants. And Cameroon's ambassador to Belgium. I am choosing not to take it. My voice is our weapon. And I am saying to all the international financial regulators, where are you? And I'm saying to the United Nations, to the African Union, have my complaint. I filed my complaint 25th of August. I am expecting the United Nations and the African Union to show that disability matters. They can't remain silent in front of all of this smoke. When Barclays, those banks can't deny my rights. Instead, they're making it impossible for me to get my dad's inheritance. So that is I am not just saying Fotso matters. I am saying disability matters. They broke the law. Not only the one protecting people with disabilities, but this is a financial crime. This is the looting of African wealth. They don't apologize. They don't try to make you whole. More procedures, the weaponization of disability, all type of stuff to basically try to get away with it. And I'm asking you not to let them get away with it. There are principles here. And Barclays, as I told them, should realize that there is a price to ableism. There is a price to pay when you weaponize the disability, even when the disabled is an African woman. I'm daring Barclays. I'm daring the other banks to say that what I'm saying is not true. So read Miante, the article, and share the article. Share this podcast. Subscribe, Miante, and I need your voice. This is my call to action. Share this story. The financial regulators in the UK, in Liechtenstein, in the United States, and elsewhere need to do their job. The United Nations, the African Union, cannot remain on the sidelines. They have my complaint. Miente, on reste ensemble. And I will see you next week for another podcast in English.